In the vibrant and bustling city of Lagos, there lived a young woman named Ada. She was beautiful, kind, and deeply cherished by her family and friends. Ada was the type of woman who carried grace in her every step, and her gentle heart was her greatest charm. However, despite her many virtues, Ada's love life had always been a bit of a mess. She longed for a partner who would love her unconditionally, someone she could build a life with. One day, while visiting her local church, she met a prophet who shared a mysterious revelation with her. "Ada," the prophet said, peering into her eyes, "your future husband's name will be Paul." The words were simple, but they resonated deeply with her. From that moment on, Ada held onto those words, letting them guide her as she navigated her relationships. For months, Ada met various men, but none were named Paul. She began to wonder if the prophecy would ever come true. Then, as if by fate, Ada met 5 different men named Paul, each of whom seemed to have stepped out of her dreams. The Pauls were all unique, each bringing something special to the table. Ada was excited but also overwhelmed. How could she know which Paul was the one the prophet had seen? The first Paul she met was Paul the musician. He was a tall, handsome man with dreadlocks that swung to the rhythm of his music. Paul had a soulful voice that captured the hearts of everyone who heard him sing. He played guitar with passion, often losing himself in the melodies he created. Ada first met him at a local cafe where he was performing. His music was enchanting, and when their eyes met, it was as if time stood still. Paul the musician was charming, creative, and had a carefree spirit. He would take Ada to music festivals, open mic nights, and impromptu jam sessions. His spontaneity was thrilling, and Ada found herself falling for the way he saw the world through the lens of his music. He wrote songs about her, each note filled with the emotions he couldn't quite put into words. Ada loved the way Paul made her feel alive, but she often wondered if his heart was truly in the relationship or if it was forever lost in the pursuit of his musical dreams. One evening, Paul invited Ada to a rooftop concert he was hosting. The view of the city was breathtaking, with the lights twinkling like stars beneath them. Paul dedicated a song to Ada, his eyes never leaving hers as he sang. Ada's heart swelled with joy, but as the night went on, she noticed that Paul was always surrounded by admirers. She couldn't help but feel like she was competing with the music and the fans for his attention. Paul was passionate but distant, and Ada longed for a connection that went beyond the stage. Next, Ada met Paul the chef, a man whose culinary skills were unmatched. He was charming, with an easy smile and a laugh that could light up a room. Paul owned a trendy restaurant in the heart of Lagos, where people flocked to taste his exquisite dishes. Ada's first encounter with him was at a food tasting event. Paul's confidence in the kitchen was magnetic, and Ada was instantly drawn to his nurturing nature. Their dates were always centered around food. Paul would surprise Ada with gourmet dinners, each course meticulously prepared with her preferences in mind. He would watch her eat, delighting in every expression she made as she tasted his creations. Ada loved the way Paul took care of her, always making sure she was well-fed and happy. Being with him felt like being wrapped in a warm, comforting embrace. But as much as Ada enjoyed their time together, she began to notice that Paul the chef was married to his work. His restaurant demanded most of his time, and even on their dates, he would be checking his phone, talking to his staff, or stepping away to handle a kitchen crisis. Ada often found herself sitting alone at his restaurant, watching Paul dash between the kitchen and the dining area. The warmth that she had initially felt began to wane, and Ada realized that she needed more than just the occasional dinner date to feel truly connected. Then there was Paul the businessman. He was a successful entrepreneur, running multiple companies across Lagos. Paul was always impeccably dressed in tailored suits, exuding confidence and power. He had a way of making Ada feel special, always arriving in style to pick her up for their dates. Their time together was filled with luxury, fine dining, shopping sprees, and weekends at luxurious resorts. Paul was generous, often showering Ada with gifts that made her feel like a queen. Ada enjoyed the glamorous lifestyle, but she quickly realized that Paul's world was one of constant motion. His phone never stopped ringing, and he was always caught up in meetings, deals, and business trips. Even when they were together, Paul's mind was often elsewhere, thinking about his next big move. Ada felt like she was just another appointment in his busy schedule, and although she appreciated his ambition, she craved more attention and intimacy. Paul the adventurer was the fourth man Ada dated. He was a free spirit who loved exploring the unknown. With him, Ada experienced things she never thought she would: rock climbing, scuba diving, and spontaneous road trips to hidden gems across Nigeria. Paul had an infectious zest for life that made Ada feel alive. His stories of travels to remote villages, jungles, and deserts were filled with excitement, and Ada found herself caught up in the whirlwind of his adventurous spirit. However, Paul's need for constant excitement often left Ada feeling exhausted. He was always planning his next trip, and Ada worried that his restless nature would never truly settle down. She loved the thrill, but she longed for moments of calm and stability that Paul couldn't seem to provide. The unpredictability that once excited her now left her feeling uneasy, and Ada began to question if she could keep up with his pace. The last Paul, Paul the teacher, was different from all the others. He was quiet, thoughtful, and kind. Paul worked at a local school, teaching young children with a passion that shone through in everything he did. Ada met him at a community service event, and their connection was immediate. Paul was the type of person who found joy in the simple things: a good book, a quiet walk, or a meaningful conversation. He listened to Ada in a way that no one else did, and his gentle nature made her feel truly seen and heard. Their dates were simple but meaningful. Paul would take Ada to bookshops, parks, and art galleries. They would spend hours talking about life, dreams, and their hopes for the future. Paul's steady presence was a calming force in Ada's life, and she found herself drawn to his quiet strength. However, Paul's reserved nature sometimes made Ada worry that his life was too predictable. She feared that his simplicity would eventually become monotonous, and she wondered if she needed more excitement to keep the spark alive. As Ada continued dating the 5 Pauls, she found herself at a crossroads. Each Paul brought something valuable to her life, but none of them seemed perfect. Ada began to feel overwhelmed by the weight of her decision. She compared their strengths and weaknesses, trying to discern which Paul was the one the prophet had foretold. But as time passed, Ada realized that no Paul was flawless. Each had his own set of complexities that made him unique. In a moment of introspection, Ada decided to take a step back and focus on herself. She took a break from dating and spent time reflecting on what she truly wanted in a partner. Ada realized that she wasn't just looking for the perfect Paul, but for someone who made her feel at home, who saw her heart, and who would stand by her through thick and thin. One evening, Ada found herself sitting with Paul the teacher at a quiet cafe. They were sharing a simple meal, talking about their dreams and fears. Paul spoke about his love for teaching, his desire to make a difference in the lives of his students, and his hopes of one day starting a family. Ada listened intently, feeling a deep sense of peace wash over her. For the first time, she wasn't focused on the excitement, the luxury, or the thrill. She was simply content in Paul's presence. As they continued talking, Ada realized that Paul the teacher was the man who made her feel most like herself. He didn't try to impress her with grand gestures or overwhelming charm. He was just Paul, kind, sincere, and dependable. Ada knew in her heart that she had found her true Paul. It wasn't the one who dazzled her with his talents, wealth, or adventurous spirit. It was the one who made her feel safe, understood, and loved. With her heart set, Ada ended things with the other Pauls, thanking them for the wonderful moments they had shared but explaining that she had found the right Paul for her. The other Pauls, though saddened, respected Ada's decision. They each moved on, finding their own paths and continuing their journeys. Ada and Paul the teacher began a beautiful relationship, filled with mutual respect, understanding, and a quiet, steady love. They spent their days enjoying the little moments, reading together, volunteering, and dreaming of the life they would build. Paul proposed to Ada in the same park where they had found clarity, and she said yes without hesitation, knowing she had made the right choice. Their wedding was a simple but joyous occasion, surrounded by friends, family, and loved ones who had watched their love story unfold. As Ada walked down the aisle, she couldn't help but smile at how far she had come. She had found her true partner, not in the dazzling lights of adventure or the allure of wealth, but in the steady embrace of a man who loved her for who she was. As the years passed, Ada and Paul built a beautiful life together. They welcomed children into their home, creating a family filled with love, laughter, and the kind of happiness that comes from truly being seen. They faced challenges, celebrated victories, and supported each other through every twist and turn of life. Ada never forgot the other Pauls, but she knew in her heart that she had chosen the one who was meant for her. Paul the teacher was her best friend, her confidant, and the love of her life. They lived happily ever after, proving that the right person isn't always the most glamorous or the most exciting, but the one who makes your heart feel at peace. And so, Ada's journey with the 5 Pauls taught her a valuable lesson, that love isn't about finding perfection, but about finding the person who sees you, loves you, and stands by you through all of life's ups and downs.